Welcome back, Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. Great to be with you. And if you've just joined us, well, let me give you a recap. Going over the president's coverage, the big New Yorker interview that's being commented on by all that read it, including myself, and talking about, well, we're going to focus in on why the president's doing it and why this is his only way to really get his side out, his side that does not provide for accountability for actions or policies. You may think this is a little boring, and I guess at times it could be looked at as boring, unless, of course, you're impacted by the policies of President Obama. And you are, as an American. We don't do hyphens here, by the way. Just not about that. And as we look through the issues from a Christian worldview, being salt and light and speaking truth and love, we recognize loving is not lying, and a lot of times compassion, when it's measured in government, is anything but. So returning to the concept of economic policies and accountability, because we are looking at about a 9.2% unemployment if you factor in those who have left the workforce. We're looking at 6.7% if we take the raw number, but all of those gains are from the people, almost all of the gains are from people leaving the workforce. And you have a president who gets an interview from a fan who kind of walks you through in a way that somebody would, not in a reporter, not in a way to say, I'm going to give you the truth, I'm going to question, I'm going to be skeptical. No, I'm going to rewrite at times history, omit, do whatever thing I can to look at this history in the look at this president in the context of history and how he sees himself, and he wants to be big and he wants to make a difference. I want to make a difference. Frankly, I object to that. Making a difference, Crane? Well, making a difference, I think you got to go a little beyond that. How? Well, as Christians, we want to reflect God. We want people to see Christ reflected from our lives. Generally speaking, understand, disciple in progress, and I will be for, obviously, forever. But in that, I will say that making a difference sounds a bit juvenile. I want to make a difference. Unless, of course, it is, I want to make sure people recognize life begins at conception and the law to reflect that. I want people to have the opportunities that I have had or opportunities I did not have, and I want to make that possible so they can better their lives. I want people to make a difference so when people do see my life and they see marriage, they see it as God's work, God's design, and how awesome it is and it can be. And pretty much everything they see on Hollywood portrayals is really twisted and off base. It's not something that we've characterized, made something bad, something good. There's so many ways to do it. You get the idea. Because making a difference, you can make a difference for bad. You can advance evil. You can actually get people to go to and turn away from the good. You can distort, you can lie. You can do things with good intentions, but the road to Hades is certainly paved in that very way. So you have an obligation, if you're going to do something, to know and look at the result of what you're going for. How does it end? When I put something in place, I can't sit there and say, well, I hope it goes this way. Now, I may have a hypothesis that says it's going to go this way for this reason, this reason, this reason, and it may go another way, but if I get that feedback, I'll adjust to make sure I get the end result that I'm looking for. We don't see that with liberals, unfortunately. And you say, you call it on liberals. No name games here. Just look at the results. Look at the results of liberal policies. Liberal foreign policy. Gorbachev didn't sit there and, you know what, I just want people to have more freedom through glasnost, and I want that to work out. And it wasn't the fact that Reagan put the pressure on. Reagan established the Reagan doctrine of the old Monroe Doctrine, in essence, when it comes to communism, and actually called it out for what it was, which was an evil empire. See, he was declarative in that way, and that's not me worshiping Reagan. That's me recognizing history. And I don't want to look at the revisionist view of how to advance good, because it's not by remaining silent about evil or failed policies, and it's certainly not saying, hey, I want to support the president. He's our president, so I'm going to be silent about the absolute failure that he has been when it comes to policies and that he has advanced. As absolute deafness, tone deafness when it comes to the speaking of issues of economic advancement. The absolute demagoguery I see out of this administration when it comes to characterizing those that disagree with the law, the state forcing a redefinition of marriage, despite what the people have said in many cases, or certainly the cases that are before us, we can see a percentage of those, and say, well, they just hate gay people. I don't hate gay people. I've made that very clear. I don't hate homosexuals. I don't like the word gay. I want the rainbow back. I think gay, happy, wonderful. Big fan of old movies. And the flag just bums me out that they take that. But I digress. Here's the point I'm making. The point is that the characterizations and the false narratives, if you're silent about those, they're going to continue, and they're going to grow, and they're going to continue to shape and form the issue around a set of falsehoods. And what policy do you get out of that? Well, you get really bad policy. So let's make it clear, as I've said numerous times, of course I don't hate homosexuals. The sin of homosexuality, I hate the sin. I hate the sin of adultery. I hate the sin. All of these things I hate. I don't hate the sinner. Quite frankly, I don't like talking about it. But if you're going to take the state and impose the law and change the definition, I got to stand up for what I believe, because I cannot segregate my Christian foundation. If it's my foundation, it does not compartmentalize. It goes. And I say, no, I don't want the advancement of that policy. No, I do not want my kids taught this. I don't want the fact of saying this is natural and normal. No, I don't want that taught. Does that mean if somebody is a homosexual that I don't speak to them? I don't love them? What are you, crazy? You nuts? Of course that doesn't mean that. You would have to have the most ridiculous reactionary point of view to do that. You would have to believe that somehow I sit here and I'm looking for a reason to hate. Oh, but that's exactly what's happening, isn't it? Because as we in the Christian community sit back and look at an issue that's put upon us, when we talk about defending life, and we've gained traction, by the way, it's a beautiful thing. Talk about Ben Johnson later. When we make advances on this, we will still be characterized on SVU or whatever it is, whatever show it is, or a Tea Party that goes back to constitutional freedoms will be characterized as the idiot squad, as I've mentioned too many times. But I will again. And that includes the Westboro Baptist Church, the KKK, and the Black Panthers. But I will say that if you think this is about hate, maybe it's the first time you've listened. It's not. And I don't embrace that. I think if somebody would bully somebody on that way, I think that would be absolutely ridiculous and should be punished big time, just as much as any other. But what's happening is ideological bullying through false characterizations and false narratives. And that's my point. They can't sell this stuff honestly. So they have to dress it up. They have to turn it, and they have to do exactly what David Remnick did, which is have a point of view going into the story, be a supporter, and write a story where you don't blame, and blame's become a bad word, you don't hold to account a person for their actions or policies, because you gotta find it can't be the person you love, no. Now, to do that, you're not much of a journalist. You're a great storyteller. You're a great writer, perhaps. Not much of a journalist. Because a journalist, you better hold people to account. Unless it's the type of journalism where it's propaganda. Now, I say all this to move us ahead to cut number 2. And we go now to David Remnick's second part of his answer to Charlie Rose regarding President Obama being able to do something big. Is he going to be still able to do something big with his presidency, though he's in what many people describe as the downtime where you go more to protect your legacy as opposed to advance an agenda? And here is part 2 of that. Roll it.
The fact that we are out of Iraq for all the problems in Iraq, getting there in Afghanistan, the auto industry saved, gay rights more and more ensured, not without help from the President of the United States. The fact that there's been no scandal, major scandal in this administration, which is a rare thing in an administration. The fact that science is now discussed as science. The fact that climate change, however woefully inadequate, the measures for it is now
Does measure up to greatness for you?
Well, let's wait till the end. Let's wait till the end. A lot of things could go wrong, and
but all those things have already happened.
Well, I think those achievements are huge. Yes.
Huge.
Yes.
Iraq's huge. A huge failure. A huge setback, impossible defeat. Yeah. Auto bailout, mentioned, $10 billion plus. And protected them from making decisions that would actually be market-wise, so that the next time there is a downturn that they'll be able to advance their products. No, they were insulated from that. But this is amazing to me. This is what you get. The rewriter. The revisionist. Oh, yeah, look at all climate change. Anybody really, you're still buying it? Climate change, global warming, the whole advancement of the link between carbon emissions, man-made, and that directly tied to temperature, not happening. Embarrassing. Scandal. Suppression. That's why we have people like the great Chris Woodward be with us Friday, business and environment reporter for One News Now, onenewsnow.com, American Family News. That's why we have it, to give you the truth. But these are, ticking down. Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Remember, this is what's wrong. You say the policy is wrong. No, the communication of the policy is wrong because they rewrite it. And they continue to do it. I've got a lot of examples here. But I love Juan Williams. Juan Williams said this in regard to the interview. Liberal, Juan Williams, good guy, met him a couple times, good guy, very good guy. Nonetheless, I don't agree with him. Here's his take on the interview of how what the author just said factors in. Roll it.
This was interesting. I had a sense that I've never had before from the president of being defeated. That he felt like, you know what, I can't really make a big difference in this office. He spoke about the stream and being part of a stream in history, and you can't turn things around. He does say at one point, he says to his staff, we run the biggest organization and most powerful organization in the world. But on the other hand, he speaks as if he's a man caught in the maws of a larger machine, and he is not able to make a difference. And I thought, boy, that's not the Obama that I heard of in 2008.
Why? It's not the Obama, because he tried what he said he was going to do. He did it, and it didn't fix the problem, and everybody saw it for what it was. It was aspirational, but it was, when it came time to really implement the policies, it wasn't about convincing others or recognizing human nature or recognizing what incentivizes. It wasn't asking how this would improve and the end result, because the feedback you're getting thereby you change it. No, it was about an agenda of a ruling class implementing policies, and those policies failed. How upbeat can you be? Oh, the other part to that is President Obama was exposed as a person and an administration, being part of an administration that would not tell the truth about those policies and attempt to rewrite history before our eyes. I think I get why he sounds defeated, because his policies have failed. They've hurt America. They continue to hurt America. And he's sitting there going, oh, well, we've got this big, powerful thing. That's what the idea of a community organizer, as opposed to somebody who understands how this government works and how America works. Legislation is passed after you get the people on board and you've made your case and you've convinced others. He's got it backwards. He's putting things in place that he didn't get America on board for, didn't explain, promised the moon, and we now have the result and the record. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. Potty media coverage of weed. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. That's next. AFR Talk.